everyone, and welcome to the Tom Baker Show. It's great to be back with you once again. Wherever you're watching us from, we are very happy to have you. We've got quite a lot to discuss here this week. My name's Tom Baker. I'm the host of the show. I am joined, as always, by my Steering Wheel Nation news editor, Jacob Seelman. And Jacob, we've got NASCAR, we've got IndyCar, we've got all kinds of stuff, and we've even got a little bit of iRacing to talk about later in the show as well. But why don't you get us off and running here with the starting line for us?
Well, you kind of set it up for me to knock it out of the park. We've got NASCAR and IndyCar because they were all in the same place since our last show at Phoenix Raceway, or the Diamond in the Desert, as some of us take to call it, because it is a really cool track out there. But regardless, the one storyline intertwining those two disciplines is Roger Penske and his team, which decided to come into the desert and take everybody's lunch money and leave with a smile, because of course Team Penske swept both ends of the desert duel, winning the IndyCar race on Saturday and the NASCAR Cup Series race on Sunday. The Saturday race actually was every bit as spectacular in the end as what the Sunday race was, because both races featured a pass for the win inside of 10 laps to go. I mean, this is for a racetrack that hasn't always produced memorable moments. Phoenix produced two memorable moments in 24 hours time, but I want to start specifically with Team Penske, because Joseph Newgarden late charge with fresh tires to win his 12th oval race in the last 25 such races in IndyCar. And then Ryan Blaney taking the opposite, 2 tires, and holding off fresher tires in the Cup race on Sunday. But regardless, both the NASCAR and IndyCar teams at Penske were not, shall we say, stellar to end last year and to start this year. So, is Phoenix a sign, Tom, that the stars are aligning, that Roger Penske and his teams in the 60th anniversary of Team Penske are getting back to where Roger wants them to be, winning races and contending for championships on a regular basis?
Well, I mean, I think it's early yet. I don't think they, on the IndyCar side, I mean, I don't think they really did all that much at St. Pete, to be honest. I was a little...
Hello, Joseph Newgarden won the race?
I mean, he won, yeah, but, you know, you're talking team as a whole. I mean, Newgarden's off to a great start. I don't know really about the rest of them. I think we expected David Malukas to take a few races to get into form. And I thought he had a good run in Phoenix. Yeah, I thought he had actually a good run. I mean, on the NASCAR side, again, this I consider this the first kind of regular race that we've had all year. And so I think they're better. I don't know if they're championship form. Certainly Newgarden, we could argue, is, but as a whole, I think both squads still have some work to do. We'll see what happens on the NASCAR side over the next 2 or 3 weeks, but it was good to see Cindric up there. I mean, Logano had a good race going till he didn't. And then...
so did Cindric.
You know, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He got better, and Logano had a good race going until he didn't. But then, you know, Blaney and his mustache ended up crossing the finish line and taking the win. So, you know, yeah, I guess they're better. I just don't want to make much of the first couple of events. Certainly on the IndyCar side, Newgarden's hot, but I don't know if that quite translates to the entire team yet.
I was going to say, Newgarden's won 2 of the last 3 IndyCar races dating to the finale of last season. I should slightly clarify what I meant. Of course, we know Alex Palou won at St. Petersburg, but McLaughlin and Newgarden were certainly, you know, top 5, top 10 contenders in that race and showed
that's
speed.
Not Penske standard.
Fair. I mean, regardless, though, I think as a unit, You had McLaughlin on the podium at St. Pete. You had Malukas pole and podium at Phoenix. You had Newgarden win at Phoenix. We have no idea what's going to happen in this next race at Arlington. That is a blank slate, good luck, figure it out as you go event, because this is a new track for everybody. And Team Penske has traditionally been good at figuring it out ahead of everybody else in the past. I feel like they've always shown well at new or return to after a long time away type of racetracks, like we saw at Phoenix. I mean, they just seem to adapt, I think is the word I'm looking for, better than anybody else. And on the NASCAR side, there was multiple points in that race at Phoenix where, until Logano and Cindric got shuffled and ultimately crashed, not of their own accord, there were several points in that race where the Penske cars were running 1, 2, 3. So it's, yes, okay, Phoenix is their best racetrack on the NASCAR side. But as you said, first real race. If they go to Vegas, where Joey Logano, oh, by the way, has been really, 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 really good over the last 5 years and won multiple races, if they go there and show the same speed they showed at Phoenix, I'm ready to say, okay, yeah, this version of Team Penske I believe in.
Well, but here's the thing. First of all, go back to the IndyCar race at Phoenix. The hottest driver in the IndyCar circuit got crashed at Phoenix.
Correction, he crashed himself.
I'm not going there. He got crashed, but either way you look at that, he won the round at the finish. And Rasmussen, who was probably the next hottest car at Phoenix, also got run in the wall. So I honestly, you can say that, you know, Newgarden won the race, and I'm not diminishing it, but the reality is the Penske cars were not the fastest cars in that event. I'm not diminishing the Penske cars as a whole. I'm just saying, first of all, I never believed that on the NASCAR side they were in that much of a slump. The NASCAR Cup Series, you got about 15 cars that can win on any given week, and sometimes missing by a little looks like a lot. And that's where I thought Penske was for a lot of last year. So this year, you know, everybody gets a reset, and now all of a sudden they're back contending again. On the IndyCar side, I mean, okay, they finished well, and Malukas had the pole, but I still think they're probably 7/10 of the way back to where Penske prefers to live on the IndyCar side. And right now it's still the Palou show unless he ends up in the wall. You give me the next couple, 2-3 races, and let's see where Alex Palou is and see where the Penske car is on the IndyCar side, see where the team is, and then we'll judge that. But right now I still think it's Alex Palou's series, and everybody else is just kind of living in it.
Fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion, and we'll see whether it's right or not.
Exactly.
We'll leave that at that. Bullet point number 2 on the starting line, and this I'm very curious about to hear your thoughts on. What do we make of this past weekend's NASCAR IndyCar double, which had been done, and decently successfully, I might add, previously at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course? Of course, that was kind of, it became necessity for a bit because of the global pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. But Fox wanted to bring it back. They brought it back for Phoenix. What do you make of how it went? I will say that I particularly was intrigued by some of the integration of having voices from each series crossing over to the other, although I will be the first to say it was a little bizarre for me to hear Joey Logano's voice for the first time on the IndyCar broadcast when I was able to get to that on Saturday afternoon. But I thought, you know, between the St. Pete truck race with having Townsend Bell over there, and now with what they did at Phoenix, I mean, having, you know, pretty much most of both booths crossover at one point or another during the weekend. I mean, I liked it. Did you like it? And is this something that you would think should continue into the future, whether it's at Phoenix or somewhere else that you have in mind?
Well, I'm going to separate the booth from the actual on-track doubleheader race piece for this discussion. I'm also going to say that this was the second straight week that we had NASCAR and IndyCar because the trucks raced at St. Pete. That counts. So, honestly, I think it's fantastic. And as far as I thought the truck race was easily the best race of the weekend at St. Pete, the IndyCar Series race was not that great a race. We got to Phoenix and the IndyCars put on a fantastic show, as did everything else, honestly, at Phoenix. It was all good, in my opinion. Now, and I think we should certainly do more of that, particularly on ovals.
Yes, please.
So yes, and I hope we bring back the Phoenix part for sure for next year. Now, as to the booth, I propose a trade. Okay. I propose that Fox trades Clint Boyer to the IndyCar Series for Townsend Bell. And in order to make it a fair trade, I think Fox should also give IndyCar 2 conditional draft picks and Jackie Stewart. That Townsend Bell was so good. I mean,
Townsend is just a consummate professional at everything he does.
Describing things and explaining things that's so easy to understand, and he's really very insightful, and I just he does a professional job. I really enjoyed hearing him talking about the trucks at St. Pete. And I enjoyed hearing him talk about the Cup Series at Phoenix. I think that was awesome. Yeah, I love the mixed booths. I think it gave some freshness to it. I just think it was a great weekend. The fans enjoyed it. I haven't heard too much negative either. So, well, it was good is when nobody's seriously complaining about anything. And I thought it was fantastic. It was nice that we had a whole weekend like that where the only complaints were coming from F1. It just really was.
And we'll get to that a little later. I'm gonna pivot midstream slightly here. I had a thought at first of where we were going with our third starting line bullet point, and I'll get to that in a second. But right before I do, I want to ask you, okay, you alluded to, let's do it more on ovals. So if Tom were motorsport czar for a day and you're picking track or tracks for NASCAR IndyCar double in 2027, where are you taking them?
Darlington?
Oh, my Lord.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? Could Firestone make a tire that would hold up at Darlington for the IndyCar G-forces? I was joking when I said that, but I think, honestly, I really want to see the IndyCars go back to Pocono. And there is some talk about that, too. I think Pocono or, maybe the Glen, although NASCAR usually brings ARCA and whatever, and it's a busy weekend as it is. But my gosh, I just think that the idea, I would love to see him. See, I'm one that would love to see the Indy cars on a speedway again. I'd love to see him at Charlotte. There's all this talk about, well, they can't run those tracks. It's too dangerous or whatever. It's like, guys, you can take a car anywhere and it's dangerous. I don't buy it. I think there's a few tracks you could get away with it. I think it would be interesting at Pocono because the excuse was, well, nobody showed up to watch the Pocono race. So maybe if you put IndyCar and NASCAR together at Pocono, maybe it would be a great weekend. Just fix the upper fencing there, make it safer, and I think we'd be fine.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with the Saturday crowds, too. I think the fact that you had NASCAR and IndyCar, even it was the O'Reilly race, but to have both sanctions on the same ticket on Saturday, I thought it really boosted both races' crowds, at least visually from what I could see during both broadcasts. It looked like everything was really well attended. That made me happy personally.
Yeah, I think it was a great weekend for fans and for racers. I think everybody from both series enjoyed it, and I see no reason that it can't be done, more than once during the season. I think it definitely helps IndyCar out because as much as Pato O'Ward would really like to think that IndyCar somehow can become the premier series, well, the way you do that is put on great racing like they did at Phoenix, not to put on bad racing like they did at St. Pete. So I don't think it matters who is premier. It's kind of like when two all-star bands tour. It doesn't matter who opens. You get all the music, and at the end they jam together. I don't know if I want to see NASCAR Cup and IndyCar on the track at the same time, but it's just the same idea, right? Yeah. I think it doesn't matter who's first or second. It just matters what kind of show you put on. And I thought the whole Phoenix weekend was well worth watching. It was very entertaining.
Dear Pato, there's this term called co-headliners. Learn it.
Exactly. I mean, I think some of these guys are a little sensitive about,
maybe,
but it's just, I mean, the reality is that the IndyCar series was the headliner at St. Pete. The trucks was a far better race. So they got beat at their own game by the opening act, if that's the way you want to look at it. So the way you fix it is just go out and put on a good show for the people, and nobody will care.
Exactly, and we did that both days for sure.
Yes.
All right, pivot point for our third and final starting line bullet. I had an idea, and I'm going to run with it. Thinking about the Sunday Cup race in particular, and the fact that we saw, we tied a track record with 12 cautions. However, a lot of that was caused by drivers being on the edge of control, which I love. So,
me too.
My question: did Goodyear hit it out of the park with the tire fall off they brought to Phoenix, combined with the higher horsepower that we saw in the Cup Series package with the increase back to 750?
Yes, I definitely think that's the case. And I also watched an interview with Ty Gibbs, who finished fourth, by the way, at Phoenix, his best Cup finish in a good while. And Ty was saying that he feels like they should be able to get to 900 plus without a problem. His way of looking at it is, well, gosh, if we can take a 410 sprint car and run it for 90 races a year at 900 plus horsepower with all the technology and the engine gurus we've got in NASCAR's Cup Series, we ought to be able to figure out how to do it there too. And I'm not sure it's quite that simple as Ty's making it, but I do agree with him in principle. More horsepower is better because these are spec cars. You have to separate the drivers by one of two things. It's either you make them so over horsepowered that you're separating the drivers by their ability to control the pedals and keep the car under them, which I think we saw the other day, that some of these guys get a little shaky when the car gets on edge, and they're used to it being stuck to the track like glue with not enough horsepower to pass a car. And so I think it was an upgrade, and I know there was a lot of cautions, but I guess at that point, nobody can complain that there wasn't enough cautions, right?
Yeah, really.
And most of them, like you said, I think could be traced to just drivers making little mistakes. Good. That's what it's supposed to be. So the best driver who drives the best race wins. And, I thought Blaney did a great job. He passed a whole lot of cars the other day, and it was impressive to watch. So, I guess the horsepower certainly did help. We'll see what happens as we go down the line a little farther, but I think it was great to see that at Phoenix. I mean, let's be real here. The last few Phoenix races haven't been that great in the Cup Series.
And I felt like this one was pretty this one was pretty memorable, if you ask me. Like I couldn't, other than the fact that last November sticks out only because of the way the championship ended and everybody forgetting that, oh, by the way, Ryan Blaney won that one too. Right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Ryan Blaney won that one too.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, remember me?
But I mean, we were talking about that because Denny Hamlin, right? It was Denny Hamlin, and he wasn't even running for the win, nor was Kyle Larson, who ended up winning the title. So now for this past week, it was a race, and there was a lot of horsepower, and cars were coming and going. Had we had that last, a year or two ago, I'm not sure we ever changed Phoenix back to Homestead for the championship. I think, I think it might have changed. So, this is why everybody that was asking for the horsepower, that's why. And I think we saw a small glimpse of that the other day. We'll see what happens as we get to the other tracks, but that was a much better race, I thought.
It certainly was. Like to me, when you sit back and go, "Hey, I'm going to be thinking about this on Monday morning beyond just oh ho hum," that to me means you did something right.
Yeah.
And hey, they did something right. And by the way, this is my last note before I know you have to take us to break. Shout out to the Goodyear social admin who reminded everybody going in that, hey, the tire pressure recommendations are not guesses and left it at that.
Yeah.
And we saw how many tire problems
Yeah.
we had. Dear crew chiefs, maybe you should listen once in a while.
No, I hope they don't, because I like it better when they mess up and then we have tire failure and cars crash because somebody was taking a chance. That's it. I think it was great the way it was, and I love putting it back in the crew chief's hands to do the right things again. So yeah, all in all, I'd say that Phoenix weekend was a rousing success. And with that, we are going to step aside. When we come back, we talk about sprint cars and a whole bunch of other things. Stay with us.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the show. We switch gears from NASCAR and talk sprint cars because Donnie Schatz, that's why. Donnie Schatz got off to a flying start down in Florida during the Dirt Car Nationals in February, and we talked about whether or not this was a sign for his future this year in the sprint 410 sprint cars. And sure enough, I said, I think you're seeing a different Donnie Schatz. And guess what? He goes out and wins.
Narrator, secret, he did it.
He did it.
Can we finally say to everybody that doesn't believe us, Donnie Schatz is back now.
Yes.
Donnie and CJB
sure.
bust the drought and win at the Talladega short track, one of my favorite dirt tracks in the entire country. Don't call it a hole in the wall if you've never been to the track across the street from Talladega Superspeedway. Do yourself a favor and go do it at some point because it is a ton of fun. But yes, 10-time champ Donnie Schatz seems to be back on a nightly basis. And look, we said when he was driving from 21st to 5th, 21st to 4th at Volusia, what could he do if he only starts closer to the front? Here you go. He starts on the pole. He leads every lap. He wins the race. Enough said. Sealman stats, plural of the week, because I can't do this in just one. For those keeping score, Talladega was Donnie Schatz's 317th World of Outlaws victory in his career. Third all-time, by the way, behind Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell. Who else? And his first win in 510 days. Yes, I counted. Dating to October 12th, 2024 at Lincoln Speedway in Pennsylvania. It's the 90th different track in Donnie's Outlaws career that he's won at, because he had never won at Talladega prior to this most recent race. And oh, by the way, in case anybody else was wondering, since he won his first World of Outlaws race in 1998, this drought, going back to 2024, had been the longest winless drought of Donnie Schatz's entire career.
Wow. That's
in
crazy.
short, it's been a while, and now that discussion is over. And I will ask you, Tom, now that you and I agree, and hopefully the rest of the world jumps on board, that Donnie Schatz is back, do we believe that he can contend for an 11th championship this year? Because yes, we're only 6 races in, but at this time, the last couple years, 6 races in, Donnie's been buried at a triple-digit deficit by this point. He's only 54 points out of the lead, and if he keeps winning races like this, David Gravel and Buddy Kofoid might have to start looking over their shoulders real quick.
Well, one of us said after Florida that he thought Donnie Schatz could well contend for the championship, and I meant it. And he's proving it right now. There was never anything wrong with Donnie Schatz. He didn't forget how to win races and championships in a sprint car. I'm not blaming anyone for his issues with Tony Stewart Racing. Only those involved know the truth on any of that. Yeah. But what I am saying is that sometimes you just need to change directions. And that's really where I think Donnie Schatz just needed a reset. And, you know, when you come out of the box strong, momentum tends to build. And Donnie, I think, is on a bit of a revenge tour. It's not even so much, you know, about Tony Stewart Racing as it is Donnie just showing the world that, hey, no, I didn't forget how to drive these things. I can still go out and be Donnie. And, that's what happened at Talladega. So I think Donnie can contend. I think he's very durable. He's still, you know, he's not over the hill, you know, and he's got renewed energy, and that's a little scary, honestly, for the competition that Donnie Schatz feels like he can go out and win every race he runs again. That hasn't happened for a while, and this is going to be a fun year to watch how he just keeps on growing as the year goes on.
I'll put it to the masses like this before I go to our next subject. If Sammy Swindell can go out and contend to win sprint car races at the age of 70, Donnie Schatz can surely go out and contend to win a championship at the ripe old age of 49.
Exactly.
I mean, come on, let's be real here. Okay, that being said, next up, F1. We alluded to this in the open. Everything good about NASCAR and IndyCar at Phoenix is comparably everything bad about the F1 opener in Australia. Number 1, Mercedes goes 1-2. That's not the bad part. It's good for Mercedes.
Oh, it's actually good.
George Russell and Kimi Antonelli loved it. The bad is I can't count on fingers and toes and extremities how many people were absolutely just dragging the new F1 tech regulations through the mud, describing it as, quote, Formula E on steroids, quote, a disaster due to the new regulations that require energy management for all that saying that is worth. Instead of outright driving the race car, I'll just quote the defending world champ Lando Norris, quote, the problem is you have to look at the steering wheel every 3 seconds to see what's going to happen. Otherwise, you're going to end up off the track. What are we doing?
I saw that quote and had to chuckle at it. It, you know, again, we have increased the amount of science that we've brought into motorsports at all levels over the last 20 years or so. And I don't think much of any of it, other than the safety part, has really been good. I've always thought that the best racing is when the cars are junk and the drivers are pushing them to the ragged edge. And that's where you get the sort of just about to spin, but he isn't. And he slides underneath the car and they do a donut. And, you know, it's, I don't know. I just feel like F1 now has made that crossover a little bit too much. And, I don't think the horse goes back in the barn. I happen to like Formula E because Formula E, that's all it is. It's a battery, but the racing's still racing. Okay.
Yeah. Formula
One feels like it's trying to be Formula E now, without giving up being Formula One. And it doesn't look good right away. No. Now, with that being said, anything that's radically different, as this obviously is, these drivers are going to have to get used to it. So I don't want to make much just yet, but I will say this. it's not good when most of the top drivers in your series are so dissatisfied, but not with the track or not even with the officials, but with the cars.
Yeah.
And the way that the motors are, the battery, all of that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I do want to congratulate Russell and Kimi Antonelli. Kimi is a great talent, and you know, it's hard to come to a team like Mercedes and step up onto that stage and perform to the level of those that you've succeeded. And it was good to see Kimi get that second place, because that'll be good for his confidence.
Yeah,
he's a rock star, and Russell is as well. And, you know, I think this is going to be a very topsy-turvy first half of the F1 season. You could see all kinds of surprises for a while till all of this shakes out and everybody gets the handle on things.
I think so, very much like the first year of the next-gen car in NASCAR. There were a lot of surprises until everybody started to wrap their arms around it and figure it all out.
Yep.
This is such a fun, bizarre segment, because we've gone from dirt sprint cars to F1, and now we get to talk about straight liners for a minute, because NHRA started their season in Gainesville at the Gator Nationals, and I love every minute of this. John Force goes out on the limb that most of the media looked at him like he had three heads and had lost what little of his marbles maybe were there to begin with, in hiring Josh Hart to succeed Brittany Force in the top fuel entry. And what does Josh Hart go out and do? He goes out, sets the track record at Gainesville, career best run, and then wins the whole thing on finals day. How can you not love what this guy just did? He's a salt-of-the-earth guy who has tried so hard for 6 years to make it at this level. This is his opportunity. Boom, there he is.
Well, and of course, the sort of cherry on top of this sort of karma Sunday is that the driver who left John Force and left that opening, Austin Prock, did not qualify. Not qualify. So John Force is looking pretty good right now, and so's Josh Hart. And for Austin Prock, it's kind of a bit of humble pie, I would say. You know, but again, a great weekend down there. Alexis DeJoria getting a win as well.
Well, you know, she didn't win. She made the funny car final. Chad Green, one of the real underdogs of the funny car class, won that one. Alexis did make the final round, though. And Jordan Vandergriff made the semis in funny cars. So all the way around for John Force Racing, it's like a hello, weekend. Even though we don't have a Force in the car, we're going to be just fine. I want to give a call, though, real quick before we take our second break. Top Fuel has a new potential superstar, and I don't think I'm overselling that. Matty Gordon going to the semis, and everything that came out through the whole weekend about Ron Capps saying he would have given up his own seat to make sure Matty raced full-time this year before Carlisle Tools stepped up as the major sponsor. And I don't know, Tom, if you saw some of the social videos of the absolute droves of fans at her hauler even after she was eliminated in the semis. This girl has got the it factor. She's got the driving talent. And you and I have talked at one point on a show over the winter about, okay, with John Force retiring, what does NHRA do now? If they don't market around somebody like Matty Gordon, they have absolutely missed the boat more everything, because she looked to me like somebody who can become the face of that class.
Well, I agree, but I also think that somehow John Force made John Force Racing step up in the category of marketability and entertainment with all of the moves they made, because Josh is certainly a personality. I mean, I think this is going to be a fun team to watch. So congratulations to them, because that was a big weekend. As you say, I thought I had seen that Alexis had won, but just getting to the semis was a great performance for her. And with all of that, we are going to step aside. When we come back, it's time for Last Lap. Stay with us.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the Tom Baker Show. It is time now for Last Lap. Jacob?
Absolutely it is, and we're going to start with a shout-out bullet in the last lap. Give a call to 15-year-old Cohen McDaniel, who has graduated out of Outlaw Kart's microsprints here in the Southeast, jumps up to 360 sprint cars on dirt, and he just goes out and wins a full-fledged USCS 360 National Series event at Deep South Speedway in Loxley, Alabama. His first touring sprint car victory of any kind. Cohen is a hoot if you've ever met him at the racetrack. Great kid, great family. I was thrilled to see that for him. And it wasn't just a, run-of-the-mill USCS field. When you've got guys like Terry Gray, Davey Franick, the level of that 360 touring type of driver to go out and win the race the way Cohen did says a lot. I was really, really impressed. I feel like this could be a bolt of confidence, maybe a coming out party for him.
Yeah, it's a great win. I covered Millbridge last year thoroughly because of the fact that Carter Beatty is one of our SWN racers, and Cohen is part of the Kyle Beatty extended family, and he was there quite a bit, won a bunch of races, just like you said, great kid, great family. For him to go and win a USCS feature at 15 really says a lot. And I'm happy to see him pull that off. He was running top 5 in features last year at 14. So not surprised, but just really happy for Cohen. And hopefully this will be the first of many for him. And this Wednesday is Millbridge's spring opener. So maybe we'll see him there back in the micro.
You mentioned we were going to talk about iRacing. We're finally getting to it. SWN is officially entering iRacing competition, Tom, with the SWN Truck Series League, with the first race taking place Friday at Virtual Daytona International Speedway, and 12 more races throughout the year, pretty much one race per month. So I want you to talk about the differences in the series we're building versus others. And, oh, by the way, we've been talking about the Inside Groove Pit Pass the last couple weeks for our open wheel content, but it's also extending into the sim world as well.
Yeah, so it was great to see. We had a good turnout for our first recruitment race that we had on iRacing a couple Fridays ago. We had 23 trucks and got several of them to sign up for the first series race at Daytona, which happens this coming Friday, the 13th, as we record this show in a few days. And interesting that there are a number of them that are either micro sprint racers or one in the USAC sprint division. We've got several iRacers from GT3 and a couple of oval trackers and a former two-wheeler, Dawson Guzik. So quite a bit. I really am excited for this. And of course, the difference is basically we're treating this as if it's real. There's a feature story out on steeringwheelnation.com right now from the recruitment race that we ran on Friday. Larry Henley picked up the win, and it was great to see a great field of cars for that, and a lot of mix in different backgrounds of iRacing, and everybody just had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and we've got a custom trophy for each winner, so we're trying to do this at a little bit of a higher level and a more professional level. We've got some modified races of the NASCAR variety from the Oswego Speedway virtually coming up as well in April and May, and we'll run a whole series for them in the fall if there's enough interest in that, and I'm sure we'll do some dirt racing as well. So the Inside Group Pit Pass is meant to be an interactive fan community. It's the first one in the sport. $9.95 a month. You get all kinds of exclusive open wheel content, Northeast racing content, plus all the sim stuff. And that's one price for every sim race that we run. You can enter them all. There's no entry fee in any of those unless we decide to throw a money race somewhere down the line. So InsideGroupPass.com will do it, and hope everybody will join. Only prerequisite on iRacing, you got to have a C rating or better. And don't come and try to be a snowplow, because we'll just black flag you. We want serious racers that want to have fun.
Serious and having fun are two things that can coexist together.
Yes.
I promise.
Respect.
By the way, I didn't notice this until you said it. I wasn't thinking about the calendar. But Friday the 13th opener at Daytona. Do you really understand what you're asking for here?
Well, you know, I figured that if you're going to schedule a kickoff race, you know, just go for it. Like
Yeah.
put it right out there and, and just dive into the deep end of the pool. And that's what we're doing with this. So it should be a lot of fun. And we're running mostly speedways, anything mile and over. We might run Richmond, but everything else, I think the only road course is Watkins Glen. So it should be a fun series, and we're excited about it.
Final shout-outs of the night in our last lap actually go to a couple, Tom, of our SWN racers. You had updates on Grayson Greaves and Levi Ballard, I know, that you wanted to share real quick before we get out of here.
Yeah, a couple of our Steering Wheel Nation racers. Grayson Greaves, who's 17 out of Florida, picked up his best ever finish in the Truck Series at New Smyrna. His second year, he's the defending Rookie of the Year, ended up picking up a second place finish down there. Congratulations to him. And 11-year-old Levi Beefstick Ballard out of the Midwest got his 89th win of his career already in the R Micro Clash at the Coliseum in Du Quoin. And again, you know, we have a number of drivers that we work with and mentor, manage, and promote, and those are just two of them. And they have they're off to great starts this season. So hopefully the rest of the drivers, as their seasons open up, will get off to the same kind of starts. We've obviously just 2 days from the time this show is recorded, Millbridge opens and Carter Beatty will be in action. So hopefully Carter gets off to a good start in 26. He got hurt a couple of times last year that kind of cost him some momentum in his season, but still ended up winning a couple of micro events. And then, of course, we've got Finn Robinson starting up shortly, too, over in the UK, in the UK modified division, and some other guys as well. So we're excited about 2026, and, of course, very excited about what's going on with this show and the Inside Groove Pit Pass. Don't forget, SteeringWheelNation.com for all of the latest news and analysis at the Wheel Nation. On, of course, Facebook, X, and Instagram as well. You can find Jacob at Jacob Seelman 77 on Twitter, and you can find me at the SWN Tom on Twitter, or X if you want to call it that. And look for some at track interviews and SWN on the road content coming up, as well as we start hitting the racetracks for 2026. And we're excited about where Steering Wheel Nation is going. Steering Wheel Nation is the home of America's racers. Until next time, bye-bye.